Victor Wembanyama snubbed from any of the All-NBA teams? And how about the new Spurs Iceman merch?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Locked On Spurs on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kansas 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. TGIF, everybody. It's Friday. You get to relax soon. Weekend is upon us. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Google Play. What else? iTunes, Spotify. You got the YouTube page. You got the Kens 5 Plus app. Seriously, there's no excuse for you to not to check out Locked On Spurs every single day, and I know y'all do that. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free, and terms and conditions apply. Hey, so what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be discussing Victor Wembanyama, whether or not he was snubbed from any of the All-NBA teams for second or third. But we're debuting a new segment here that's going to happen once a month, starting this month and moving forward. I think y'all going to like it. Basically, what we're going to be doing is called the Spurs Merch of the Month. It's going to happen about middle of the month, starting next month. But, it's basically we're going to showcase some of the merch that you can get right now the Spurs website, and you can pick up these pieces at the SpursFanshop.com. Yes, we're going to be doing that. I'm really excited about it. I think you're all going to like it. So we're going to be showcasing several pieces once a month. Again, add to your collection. Spurs are going to get hot next season. I know last year was bad, but they can only go up. And why not look good when you go to the Spurs game, whether on the road or at home at the Frost Center? You can be looking good moving forward. And I'm going to help you get geared up for your next home game. So let me get the one out of the way first, because the highlight is coming up next. As y'all know, this is available right now. I'm wearing it right now. It is the Victor Wembanyama Rookie of the Year, Mr. Cartoon T-shirt. Very, very nice. Just a heads up, it is a very thick cotton, okay? It fits very snug. This is a large I'm wearing right now. This is the Mr. Cartoon Rookie of the Year T-shirt, which you can get right now at the SpursFanshop.com. The Spurs, they debuted a new collaboration with the one, the only, Iceman George Gervin. Today, they debuted a new collaboration again with Iceman, and it's available for both women and men's, and it's available on the Spurs Fan Shop right now, online at SpursFanshop.com. And and of course at the Frost Center. It's called the Iceman Collection. And let me tell you, it captures the ice element. The color they use, you'll see in a few seconds. I have some pieces here I want to show y'all. It's awesome. They got T-shirts. They got women crop T-shirts. They got hoodies. They got caps. They got sweatshirts. They got track suits. They got it all. And I think you're going to love it. One of my favorite pieces is the track suit. That's my favorite. But it's a baby blue color. It's going to look nice. The lettering's in black. They have it's kind of a stitched on emblazoned, says ice on them. Look, I know you're keeping y'all on suspense. You want to know, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? But again, it's an homage to the players that came before. And kind of like if you know kind of vibe. That's what it is. It's for the next generation of Spurs fans. And for those who are old like me that remember seeing Iceman play at the Old Hemisphere Arena, you will like it. Now, I've been teasing about it if you've been paying attention on social media, but it is here. As mentioned, produced by Nike, New Era, NBA license, pro standard. Without further delay, let's get into some of the pieces right now. So I got them right here. So we're going to bring them out right now. First one I want to show y'all is the basic T-shirt. Yeah, check this out. You're going to love this. I like the silhouette. This is the black T-shirt with Iceman. See the baby blue I was telling you about? Right there. Look at that. Now, this is a size medium. So just a heads up, this is a size medium, but you see the Nike logo there. You see the silhouette of him sitting on the throne. Iceman, very basic, nothing in the back. It's a very, very basic black shirt. Again, available right now at the SpursFanshop.com and, of course, at the Frost Bank Center fan shop. Go there right now. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you, it gets better. It gets better. So, again, unisex, both men and women right here. The next piece I think you'll like. Now, this one here, 2 seconds, please. Your track pants on. You're going to get an idea of the baby blue. Check this out. Look at that. Look at that. See the Iceman's logo there. Iceman, there's the Pro logo. That's it, the back. Got a zipper back there. Not bad, huh? Not bad. I really like this shade of blue. It is really, really nice. The drawstring. It does have an elastic lining there. This is a size medium, so just a heads up. The size medium, and you can tell it has a white stripe. Very, very nice. Yes. This is the color scheme that I think you're going to like with all the other pieces that are here. So you saw the t-shirt, you saw the track pants. So first to get off, again, you're gonna love it. This is the crop. This is the crop top sweater. This is a sweater with a hoodie. Okay, this is for, I believe this is for females. This is a size medium, but again, as you can see, it's just very basic ice on it. Very nice in the back. Got the much there. Long sleeve. No pockets, but nevertheless, very, very nice. This is a size medium again. I believe this is a women's size here. Now it gets good. Now this is the crop top for women. Crop top t-shirt. There you have it. Look at that. Again, very basic, just that baby blue with the word ice on there. Nothing in the back on this, except for that logo there. This is, I believe, a size medium as well. Yep. So there you have it. Now this is where I think, you're probably going to run out and get this. This is one of my favorite. This is the track sweatshirt. It's a zipper up. It looks like you got Ice's name on there. With that. With that. Got a little white stripe on the sleeve there. And the back. Not the much. But again, simple. Simple is better. This is the tracksuit top. And this is what it looks like when it's zippered up. This one's my favorite piece. This one right here. This is a size medium. Okay, as you can tell, it says Ice. Again, an homage to him sitting on the throne there, wearing that tracksuit as he wore on that famous poster. Again, in the back, nothing much. Again, all these pieces are available right now at the Spurs fan shop, either online or at the Frost Bank Center right now. They should be available online today. They're supposed to debut today. But there you have it. That we're going to start doing this at least once a month. The Spurs merch of the month. What a debut of this segment with none other than the Iceman. The Iceman. Just look at that. This is my favorite. This one, I'm going to be keeping this one. This one's going to be on my table, right? I'm keeping this one. But yeah, just a quick recap there again. You got the crop top for ladies. Worked out there. Size medium. Okay. And I think this is a crop top sweatshirt. Hoodie, sorry. Again, you got Ice's name on there. Yeah, just a hoodie right in the middle there. It's a pullover, back, not much. And as mentioned, you got the pants with Ice's name on there, part of the tracksuit. You see that other piece down there I showed y'all? Then, of course, you got the black t-shirt. So if you don't want that baby blue, they got a black t-shirt with Ice's silhouette and his infamous nickname there. Nothing in the back. All right, there you have it again. Also, this is available too. The Wembanyama Mr. Tattoo t-shirt. I like this one. It's very, very nice. Look at that. I like the lettering on that. Victor's #1 there. The whole thing there. So the Spurs merch of the month. Again, we're going to be doing this at least once a month starting today. Moving forward, going to be a lot of good gear coming forward for you guys to be adding to the collection in your own home. And you're going to be looking at style. Trust me, show up to the Frost Bank Center, with that on. Yeah, you're going to catch some eyes. I want to put my tracksuit on, but I hope you liked it. It is at the SpursFanshop.com right now. By the way, Gervin played a personal role in creation of the Nike portions of the line, so he had a little hand on this too. So, yeah, looked like Iceman sitting on the throne. Recreate the Iceman sitting on the throne on your couch or something, wearing that tracksuit. I think that's something that would be fun to do. So, yeah, it definitely captures Ice's just his persona when he was balling for the Spurs. Cool as ice. You look cool in that gear. There you have it. All right, coming up next, we have Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. We're going to be discussing if Wemby was snubbed from any of the three NBA All-NBA teams, and then ask if Rasheed Wallace needs to, reconsider his thoughts about Tim Duncan versus Kevin Garnett. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. I'm going to get the tracksuit on right now. Hey, but first I want to talk to you about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. When you're hiring a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's where you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has all the tools you need to find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, and have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even have just launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions and making the process easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. You should too. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
A Jedi uses the Force. To subscribe to Locked on Spurs, pass on what you have learned.
Well, it's been a long while since Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast has been here, but here he is, everybody. Welcome to the show. He is Joe Garcia. Make sure to follow him on X at Two Shots Podcast, part of the Alamocity Sports Podcast on YouTube. You're blocking that beautiful logo behind you, Joe.
Oh,
look at that, man. Look at that. Show everybody. There you go. Alamocity Sportscast. That's it right there.
Yeah.
You want to go on YouTube, subscribe to that. Know that from a distance, looks like in the middle. I know it's a microphone with like waves coming off of it. Yeah. But from a distance, it looks like somebody's weightlifting. It's like somebody's like bridging the bar. That's what it looks like. He is Joe Garcia, Two Shots Podcast. Follow him on X at Two Shots Podcast. So why is he here? We're going to be discussing if Wemby got snubbed from any of the All-NBA teams, first, second, and third team. And then we're going to figure out what happened to Rasheed Wallace. Did he have a momentary lapse in judgment? We'll talk about that.
But is he wrong? Is he wrong? I heard what he was saying.
Yeah. We'll discuss that in just a few minutes. But first, Joe, it was a long shot, but it was still a good shot nonetheless. Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs rookie phenom, no longer a rookie anymore. Now he's a sophomore. But it did not get named to the All-NBA first, second, or third team. Now, he did pick up some votes for second place and third place, but overall, it just wasn't enough. I guess let's just dive into it, Joe. Was he snubbed? Was this kind of a, maybe everybody, voters, y'all should have reconsidered and thrown him in at minimum third team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a snub, but it just goes to show you where they think of Wemby in terms of the NBA greats right now. And, that's the sad thing is that this is the worst that Wemby's ever going to be, and this is his rookie year, his year one. And he was still a very dominant player. And like Jimenez likes to go ahead and discount what he was doing in the beginning of the season all the way up until the end of the season where he started becoming a dominant player. Yeah. This is his rookie season. It's going to take him some time to get acclimated. But if you gauge on, what he's done this season in his rookie season, of course it was a snub, but again, this is his rookie season. This is the San Antonio Spurs team who's only won, 20 plus games, so I think that had something to do with it, but it's the voting, the way that people vote. And we even had one local media member who also said, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it honest with you. I didn't vote for Wemby. He voted for the other guy. So it just goes to show you the way that I guess the people who vote think, So unfortunately for Wemby, yes, it is a snub. But if Wemby year 2, Wemby year 3, year 4, if he's becoming that very dominant player, he's going to force them to vote for him. So it's okay. We'll let Wemby use this as fuel, Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, if I'm him, I'm slapping that, those first, second, and third team rosters on his locker room next season to come out. But the thing about it, too, again, I thought it was a very long shot for him to get the first team. Fine, first team, I understood if the voters said no, Wemby not on there. Even I was okay with second team. Excuse me, there's my mic falls over. See, Joe, the Gremlins are back. Gremlins are back with me. But the second squad, I thought maybe another long shot. But again, I would understand if he's down on the second team. The third team, I really thought he had a good shot. But ultimately, I did not go that route. Now, in a bit, Joe's going to tell us who was on the squad. But, Joe, I think ultimately it came down to one, the Spurs' poor record, 22 wins. Two, he came on too late. Does that make sense? Because he kind of had an erratic start to his rookie season. He was up, he was down. He had that crazy Phoenix game where he was all world, and then he kind of petered out. He kind of hit the rookie wall for a while, and then it wasn't towards the end of the season where he just spiked, and then that's where he was just slipping up to the number one pick that he was. Joe, do you think? Face it, Joe. We got to say it. It was just the record and the Spurs' poor season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that has a big factor, I think, to play in the way that the votes swing, especially with the media members and the way that they're looking at the Spurs and Wemby and what he was able to do. But again, Spurs fans, this is the worst that we're going to see of Wemby. And his worst was pretty darn good. So I'm looking for year 2 Wemby. I think he needs to come out of the gate. He's going to be a very dominant player. And the funny thing is, in the beginning of the season is the worst we're going to see him play. Can you imagine the way he's going to look in year 2 come January, February? Yeah. I'm like my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. So Joe, let's go over the first, second, and third teams. The first team should be no shocker. Yeah. Who's on that first team?
First team, you got Nikola Jokic. You got Shai. You got Luka Doncic.
Understand.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jason Tatum. That's on your first NBA all NBA team.
Hard to argue against the only weak one. I maybe Giannis, but because the Bucks kind of fell flat this season. They really did. Injuries got to them, but nevertheless, I can live with that. That's fine. But it gets interesting. Who's on the second team?
Second team, you got Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and none other than San Antonio's favorite, Kawhi Leonard.
That's where I have the issue. That's where I have the issue with that. I don't think
Kawhi like a part-time player, NBA player. So should he really
exactly
be on
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Kawhi should have been on the second team. And no, that's not because of what happened in San Antonio.
Come on, Jeff. It's okay to
do with that. It's not that. It's not that. It's just, man. Was he really helpful to the? I guess the team. I don't know. I have an issue with that. I don't think he agree. I don't agree with that. Brunson, sure. Who's on that second team? Brunson. You had who else?
Yeah, you had Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, and Anthony Davis, the Glass Man.
Yeah. Anthony Davis had a good season. At least they went to the playoffs. Kevin Durant. That one irks me because Phoenix came in with high expectations. Like they were just. How can you stop them? They have Booker, they have Durant, they have Beal, whatnot, and then they just fell flat. Yeah. But the third team, who's on the third team?
All right, so on your NBA third team, you have LeBron James, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, and Domantas Sabonis. Man, I know that Spurs fans are always, looking at that name.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the one player, Sabonis. I think maybe Wemby could have replaced.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why Spurs fans are looking at that name and they're like, really, Domantas Sabonis? I'm like, you had Wemby. You could have easily inserted Wemby in there in lieu of Domantas Sabonis. But again, the media and the way that they vote, even local media here, we saw, they're not always going to vote for Wemby. I mean, it is what it is on that end. If I had to vote, I would vote for Wemby. I mean, I'm going to keep it poodle,
Yeah, I would have voted him for a third team. It would be hard pressed for me to argue against the first team, second team. Kawhi's on there. Third team, I think Sabonis were there. But again, I think it just came down to record. These are players that have positive. Well, again, he did have a positive impact on the Spurs. Wemby did, but it didn't translate into wins. How much do you think is the fault of the roster construction and the Spurs just came up short record wise?
The Spurs are always going to come up short record-wise, in my opinion, unless they make some moves, because the roster as currently constructed isn't set up for a successful season for Wemby. While Wemby is that guy, he's going to be your centerpiece. It's the supporting cast members that will go ahead and dictate how many wins this team is going to have. Wemby can't win these games on his own. And the thing with the Spurs is that they've shown they're very inconsistent. They still have a lot of growing pains to go through. That inexperience shows itself at the end of, games that are really close. Sometimes the Spurs have squandered 5-6 point leads in the final minute or final seconds to go ahead and let the opposing team go ahead and steal the win from them. I don't see much changing if they go ahead and run it back with the same roster. Wemby needs his Robin. You need at least two. Look at what's going on in Dallas right now. Yep. You have Luka and you have Kyrie. You need at least two superstars to compete. Right now it's Wemby and a bunch of role players. That's about it.
Well, Joe, what if that second 1-2 punch for Wemby is Bronny James?
Oh, no,
what if it's Bronny James, Joe? What do you think about that?
No.
I'm just messing everybody. I'm kidding,
Bronny.
Everybody. I'm kidding. No, that's for a whole other discussion on Locked On Spurs. But nevertheless, Joe, light snub for me. I know you're saying it is a snub. For me, it's a light snub. And again, it's just, the late turnaround for him. Late in the season is when he really took off. They had the impact of the load management to start the season. Ultimately, I think the Spurs record came up. They didn't even sniff the play-in. Weren't even close to the play-in. They had that on that losing streak. That was it, 18 games, something like that.
It was a lot.
18-game losing streak, and you factor all that. That's not going to sway the voters. They're going to look at that and say, "Great," but your play didn't impact positively on the record. You look at all those players that you named on the first, second, third teams. Those teams made the playoffs, or at least made the play-in. Everybody else.
Spurs could have flirted with winning at least a handful of other more games.
Yeah, I think so. I think they could have if they didn't load manage Wemby. If they didn't screw around with the point guard situation to start the season.
They didn't have Devontae Graham. They didn't put Devontae.
They didn't put Devontae Graham on there. Yeah. So interesting how things could have turned.
Conspiracy theory time. Was Pop low key tanking the whole time?
You've been saying that for a while, right? I think you said that whole season, yeah.
Why would he do all that kind of stuff? You got to think at the end of the day, Pop's like, I don't always tank, but when I do, it's usually a top 4, top 5 pick,
And here we go again in the lottery, top 4. They got a top 4. But, yeah, Joe, for me, it's a light snub. I can understand why the voters didn't put him on there, but also I can see the argument to put him on there because at the end of the season, the numbers were just eye-popping, from leading the league in blocks to 20-plus points per game to deflections to steals. His ability to alter the games on both ends of the court. I think that would have warranted
and win games when he wanted
and win games when he wanted to. Joe, would you have been surprised if he made the third team, at minimum the third team?
I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have made third team. Yeah. I thought that was very something that the media could have easily done for him. That would have been telling of how impactful his first year was and how dominant of a player he was. But unfortunately, that's not to be, and as we all know, I mean, we're disappointed again. Disappointment, I think, sums up the season for the San Antonio Spurs in Wemby's year one, but there's a lot of things to look forward to in the second year. The Spurs did end things on a high note. They were above 500 to end the season as far as a team collective, so hopefully they can go ahead and use that as a positive and come in, next season. And hopefully it'll translate into them winning a handful of games other than just 20. Maybe they'll get closer to 30,
Maybe. Hey, that you can't go anywhere else but up.
Yeah.
After last season, you can't go anywhere else but up. But look, at the end of the day, he had himself a great rookie season, a Rookie of the Year award, 3 Rookie of the Month awards to close out the season. He made the all-defensive team, first team historically as a rookie, unanimous. The list goes on and on. So, yeah, I mean, individually, he had a great rookie season. That mantle is going to get full of awards as early as starting next season.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, there's nothing
to get the trophy case, huh?
He's going to start filling that trophy case very, very soon. But, hey, what do y'all think? Do you think Wemby was snubbed? Do you think at minimum he should have made the All-NBA third team? You can let Joe know on X at 2 Shots Podcast. Let me know simply by subscribing to Locked On Spurs on YouTube. Make sure you do that right now. When we get back, we're going to medically check Rasheed Wallace because he said something pretty outrageous. Although Joe thinks he may have an argument to agree with Sheed, but we'll talk about that. That's up next right here on Locked On Spurs. But first up, I want to talk about eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. That's the winning formula for championship and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. You need superchargers, you need roof racks, you need exhaust kits, you need LED headlights, so much more. Well, whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit every time or your money back. Because eBay, they got that guaranteed fit. It's guaranteed to fit your ride every time, again, or your money back. Because with the eBay Motors, you're burning rubber. You're not going to be burning cash. With all the parts you need and the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. So what do you got to do? Well, you want to keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Again, that's ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
Oh, hey, this is Morty Smith and Cheese. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia on Cheese.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. You see that screen behind his head right there? Yeah, that's where you want to go to subscribe to the Alamocity Sportscast on YouTube. Do that right now. Joe's going to brag about his baby in just a few minutes. But, Joe, do you think we need to have an intervention for Rasheed Wallace soon?
Man.
You think so?
I heard his comments, but in the beginning, he was kind of making some sense, and what he was kind of comparing is he was saying, look, Tim Duncan, when he came into the league, to kind of help out this Spurs team win, and get to the championship, he was alongside David Robinson, and then when you're comparing that to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they had Kevin Garnett and a bunch of scrubs, and he was able to still get his team into the playoffs. It was just, unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to actually get the team any further, to the promised land,
right.
and get a chip with the Wolves. So Kevin Garnett, he was comparing them as leaders. Who was the better leader? Was it going to be Tim Duncan? Was it going to be Kevin Garnett in Minnesota? And he was saying, like, hey, man, I think, Kevin Garnett did a really good job because he was able to do this with a less talented team versus Tim Duncan with David Robinson had a better plethora of player, a cast around him. And he was able to find success doing that. I was like, okay, well, I can kind of see where he's going with that. Okay, I'm listening to him. But then he went off on a tangent, where he's like, oh, Kevin Garnett was such a more dominant player, a better player than Tim Duncan. I'm like, that's not what the stats tell us, and that's not what the accolades tell us when you're looking at, Tim Duncan winning multiple MVPs, going far into the playoffs with the San Antonio Spurs, winning multiple championships. Kevin Garnett, to his credit, at least he was able to win one chip with Boston, but that was it for him. He was never able to take the Wolves any further. If he had help back in the day, if he had a better plethora of surrounding player around him, maybe something could have been different,
All right. Well, Joe, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. Because, again, in sum, everybody, in case you didn't miss it, Rasheed Wallace recently went on the Sheed and Tyler show, I believe it was. And he was asked who was the better player, Garnett or Duncan. And he picked Garnett because of the reasons why Joe said, the whole ready-made team, David Robinson, Sean Elliott, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And exactly what Joe said. However, it's not like rookie Kevin Garnett in Minnesota didn't have veteran help too. Did you know on that rookie squad, he had Terry Porter?
Oh, I remember.
Did you know that rookie Porter? He had Andrew Lang. He had Doug West. He had seasoned veteran help too on his rookie season. Ultimately, I don't think she should knock TD because that roster was constructed before TD arrived. And it just happened to be that way. David Robinson was drafted, before Tim Duncan arrived. through the fall of Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan just capitalized on the tools that was given. In this case, a ready-made roster. I think Sheed is still a little salty, huh, Joe? You think he's a little salty about what happened to the Sean Elliott and the Memorial Day Miracle? What do you think?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, when you go out there and you say you guaranteed you're going to win, when he was with the Detroit Pistons and your team they lost, and you lost to the San Antonio Spurs in the finals. I think that's another thing that he's a little salty about, that, and going back to his days with the Timberwolves. I remember one game that the not the Timberwolves, but the Portland Trailblazers were blowing out the Spurs out of the water. And I remember the fans were booing Sheed because he liked to mix it up with the fans. And all he did was point at the scoreboard, and he was just taunting the fans the whole time. But the Spurs, ultimately, they got the revenge on Rasheed Wallace because the Spurs dispatched them, as everybody remembers, in the NBA playoffs, with the Memorial Day.
1999. Yeah, Spurs, Blazers. And also going back to, talking about the veteran help that Duncan had in his career early on. Garnett, too. I mentioned a few names. I just rattled them off. We also had Sam Mitchell,
But these that roster,
and the roster that the veterans on his roster, they had 6 or more years of NBA experience.
Yeah, they were old, bro. They were old. Ya estaban viejos. They were old.
So was Robinson was already past his peak. He wasn't in his prime Robinson years, his MVP
but
years.
You still had a better cast of players.
John Elliott had long retired. He didn't play with Tim Duncan that long. He retired. And also, who can predict that second round Manu Ginobili and late first round Tony Parker will turn into Hall of Fame players? So I think that's just more of a testament to the Spurs for scouting and drafting smart and building a team around Tim Duncan, because that's what you're supposed to do as a GM of any sports team, build around your star player, just like they're trying to do with Wemby. Also, too, Joe, again, maybe it's more sour grapes because wasn't it Sheed on the Pistons team that lost to the Spurs in the 2005 NBA Finals too?
Yeah, as I was telling you, man, he's walking in the arena with the belt, the WWE championship belt. Remember, he had a championship belt made after they had won their chip, and he was saying, I'm guaranteeing we're going to win and this and that.
Oh, my God, I remember that.
That was all she wrote. Once he said that, it goes back to Charles Barkley when he says, I guarantee a win, man.
That's like the death kiss, right? The death kiss.
Yeah, he jinxed the team.
Yeah. Oh, well, what does she do? Remember, he did the both teams played hard. Both teams played hard. Remember, every question in every press conference, both teams played hard. Both teams played hard.
But he did give us a nugget, man. He went ahead and he coined that phrase when they go to the free throw line in the miss. He says, the ball don't lie.
That's, what? And he's kind of right about that. Yeah. You ever notice that whenever there's questionable calls, the free throws tend to go awry?
Yep. I mean, he's the one that coined that phrase. I give it to Sheed, man. He was a character back in the day, man.
Yeah. Now to be fair, Sheed said in his prime, Kevin Garnett was the better player. Well, in Tim Duncan's prime, he was practically carrying that team. Parker wasn't Tony Parker yet. It wasn't until Tim Duncan started to decline is when they turned over the reins to TP, and then it turned over to Manu.
TP was getting yelled at by Popovich bad, man.
David Robinson had long retired. Sean Elliott is gone. Avery Johnson was gone. Jerome Kersey was gone. Rest in peace, Kersey. So, again, in his prime, Tim Duncan was practically carrying the Spurs to titles as well. He had Steve Kerr and agent Steve Kerr and Danny Ferry on his roster. Journeyman Steven Jackson.
Man. Danny Ferry liked to mix it up, dude. You remember some of the fights he got
feisty. In? Yeah, he was feisty. But ultimately, Joe, what do? You agree or disagree with Sheed? It sounds like you're agreeing with Sheed.
No, I mean, I said he had some valid points, but at the end of the day, you can't say that Kevin Garnett was a more dominant player than Tim Duncan, because you look at everything that these players did and, in their prime and throughout their NBA career, and clearly Tim Duncan is the winner. I think it's just a contrast of playing styles, when it comes to how low key Tim Duncan was. He was the fundamental, and Kevin Garnett tried to get under his skin. He tried almost kissing him, getting in his face and yelling at him. And he said that Tim Duncan would just get him so upset because
he wouldn't respond.
He wouldn't respond, or he would drop, 12, 15 points in a row on him. And he's like, damn, it's like I can't do anything with this guy. It's like that's the way he would trash talk by, going out there and dropping a 20-piece on you,
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, guys, I think we all can agree that maybe she needs to look back and just tweak his argument. All right, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Sheed's comments? And also, was Wemby snubbed? You can let Joe know on X at Two Shots Podcast. Speaking of Alamocity Sportscast, Joe, what's going on your neck of the woods?
Oh, man, we've been doing a lot of stuff, man. We've been doing some interviews, everything from the Von Erichs to Goldberg to, Frank Harris. We did Jesse James Leha. We're working on some other interviews and getting some other guests on. We need to get you back on. We got to get that timing right. So maybe next week, Jeff might be able to come out. But when you come out on the show, our segment's going to be comparing this San Antonio Spurs team to Dragon Ball Z characters.
I can do it right now. I know I can do it right now, but I'll save it. I'll save it for your.
We're gonna save it because it's gonna be special.
I'll save it for your show.
I'm gonna use my AI that I have, or I named her Gigi. So she's gonna go ahead and fuse the faces of the players onto said characters. So this is something we're gonna have to work at, and then kind of reveal it. Yeah, unveil it. Yeah.
That's gonna be really, really fun. I am looking forward to that. And make sure you subscribe to the Alamocity Sportscast on YouTube. You got Joe there. You got Mike Jimenez there. They got a great guest. He mentioned the Von Erich brothers were there. He also had Goldberg on there. So yeah, the list goes on and on. They bring in the guests. Go subscribe to that right now. But we thank you all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get a podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube as well. We'll be back next week. I think, Joe, we're going to have Jack Thompson, formerly with San Antonio Sports Star. Yeah, he's going to be back to kick us off next week. So look forward to that. More draft NBA stuff coming up. So yeah, with Jack Thompson, look forward to that on Monday. But for Joe, let me think of a good one. Joe, how about Brainiac? Joe Brainiac Garcia. I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On